Hey there. Today I'm focused on beginner yoga questions and what type of yoga should I do? Well, that's a great question, and we're here to answer that. I've got three different types of yoga to tell you about today, from slow to fast and everything in between, and what that means for you and your yoga practice. If you're new to my channel, my name is Laura. This is LC Yoga, and I post yoga classes of all different kinds and lengths with a special focus for beginners. So the first type of yoga we're going to talk about is Hatha Yoga, Hatha. Hatha Yoga technically is all yoga, right? When we talk about yoga, they all sort of fall under the umbrella of Hatha. However, if you see a Hatha Yoga class, what that has come to mean is more of a slower paced class that is longer held poses and breathing techniques. So while in a faster paced class, you might go from warrior one to warrior two to a plank and lower down and chaturanga, you're just sort of flowing through. In Hatha yoga, you may spend more time in warrior one before moving on to warrior two. And that allows you to really get deep into the poses and sort of perfect your own alignment while working on breathing and opening up those tissues. So it's a deeply meditative practice, at least it can be. And it's good for beginners because you're able to take it at a slow pace and kind of understand the poses one at a time before moving on. The word hatha is two words together, ha and tha. Ha is sun, and tha is moon. And hatha yoga is about the balance of the two together. So it's not just about the poses and how you move, it's also bringing those two things together and body and mind and linking that. So as you're looking at what type of yoga do I want to do, Hatha yoga is going to help you learn those poses in a slower way, unless you take a slower vinyasa class. So there's another way to do that. So that's our second type of yoga is vinyasa. Vinyasa yoga is a bit of a dance. It is linking breath and movement in more of a faster pace, usually, with inhaling into one pose and exhaling into another. Now, there's a fast-paced vinyasa and there's slower paced vinyasa. So a lot of times vinyasa yoga can, those on the slower end of the spectrum, almost sort of bleed into hatha yoga, right? Or you may blend those two styles together. And I would say the majority of vinyasa classes, especially if it's a beginner vinyasa, is a blend of the two. I know a lot of my classes are, because we want to take the time to learn and get into the pose and open up the tissues and sort of work on our alignment so that it feels good in the body. But we also want to warm, so we'll take the pose sequence that we've done slower and then speed it up. And that way we get the benefits of both. Now in Vinyasa yoga, you'll get sort of a warming sequence that may be repeated throughout the class. So when you hear a teacher say, let's do a vinyasa, so if you're taking a class and it's a vinyasa class and they say, let's do a vinyasa, and you go, I thought that's what we were doing. A vinyasa is a short sequence of poses that is put throughout the class to continue to warm the body. So a lot of times that's a sun salutation A. Doesn't have to be, but I'd say most of the time it is. So what's a sun salutation A? Well, it's a series of poses that goes like this. Really quickly, sun salutation A, generally you start at the front of your mat. You inhale to sweep your arms up, standing tall, so you're reaching up and getting long, and then folding forward, stretching the backs of the legs. The crown of the head then reaches forward, so you can come about halfway up, and then plant the hands and step back into a plank. Chaturanga is a yoga push-up, which you can do with your knees up or down. I'll do them down for this example. And then we're going to press into cobra. Your teacher might also cue upward dog here. And then curling the toes under, we pull up into downward dog. And that's a vinyasa. So that may happen throughout the class. So if you hear someone, let's do a vinyasa, most likely that's what they're talking about. So if you're doing longer held, slower poses, your teacher may pepper those vinyasas in there to warm your body and help you kind of stretch it out. Third type of yoga is Yin Yoga. And Yin is one of my favorites. It's what we call the other half of your yoga practice. And let me edit that real quick and say, one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. There is no all three of these equal favorites. So Yin Yoga is the slowest of the yogas, with maybe the exception of restorative yoga. I'd say those two are probably about the same in terms of pace. But with Yin Yoga, it's not actually restorative yoga. So they're restorative, you'll use a lot of props and it's deeply relaxing and you're getting your body into a pose and holding it there. But there is no real intention to stress the tissues. It's much more of a relaxation and restorative practice. Yin Yoga is a little different. It's still deeply relaxing, but that is just often not the intention. It's just a happy byproduct of the practice. In Yin Yoga, you may take a class that lasts an hour where you only do 5 to 7 poses the entire class. The teacher may hold you in those poses for anywhere from a minute each to 10 minutes, maybe even more, depending on the pose. And the intention really is to elongate your connective tissue more than your muscles. So if you're doing Vinyasa or Hatha yoga, you're more working the muscular tissue, the yang tissues, yin and yang. In Yin Yoga, you're working on the connective tissue, which is your tendons and ligaments, right? Connective tissue within the body. And what that does is, so if I were to do something like I'll just take a double pigeon. If I were to do something like this and long held, just sort of lean forward in a gentle way, I still will start to feel a relatively strong sensation in my hip. And if I stayed here for 5 minutes, that would be deeply opening for the connective tissue around my hip, not just the muscles, right? Really getting into the tissues that are connecting my muscle and my bones. And that's where a great deal of mobility comes from. We think flexibility is all there is, but that connective tissue really is important, especially as we age. And so that increases the mobility. And when you come out of a pose in Yin Yoga, often you feel very creaky. If you've ever sat on the couch, maybe in cross-legged position or sitting like this for too long, and then you get up to walk and your legs feel really tight, that happens after a Yin Yoga pose. And then you kind of counter pose it to, like windshield wipe your legs or something like that. And that loosens that right up and you feel absolutely amazing. So it is a highly recommended part of your practice, simply because when you do one type of yoga all the time, you're almost missing that other part that is so crucial to your development, not only your body, but also your mind-body connection, because each of those, with each of their different paces, really takes your mind on a different journey. So that's just a quick rundown of 3 different types of yoga. I hope you enjoyed it. Here on LC Yoga, I teach mostly Vinyasa and Yin Yoga. And the goals there are to make sure that you are doing yoga for you and for no other reason. And you're finding your own practice where you're making those poses fit your body and not contorting your body to fit the poses. See you next time. Thanks for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed today's class. And if you did, please consider subscribing and maybe throw me a comment on this video and tell me what you thought. And if you check out the For You section of my channel page, you're probably going to find another video that you like if you liked this one. If you're a beginner, look for the beginner series. That's one of my playlists that you'll find also on my channel. And if you're not a beginner, if you've been doing yoga for a while, you're going to find lots of stuff here that will take you from fitness to relaxation and everything in between. So I hope to see you again. Thanks so much.